Welcome to English Lab.
Have you ever looked at your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? Today, we are talking about exactly that and how to save your first $10,000.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Lab podcast. I am Dylan, and I am so excited to be here with you today.
And I am Emily. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are talking about a very popular topic: money, personal finance, and how to save your first $10,000.
Exactly. $10,000 sounds like a huge number, right? When I was younger, I thought saving that much was completely impossible for a normal person.
I completely agree. I remember my first job in a small coffee shop. I made so little money. Every time I got my salary, it was gone in 3 days. I bought too many video games.
That is a classic mistake. We all make them. Today, we want to share some easy, step-by-step tips to help you build your savings, even if you are starting from zero.
Yes. And let's start with a very important word for our learners today: budget. A budget is simply a plan for your money.
Right. To explain budget clearly, it means writing down how much money you receive and how much money you spend. For example, if you earn $2,000 a month, your budget tells you where every dollar goes.
Another example of a budget: imagine you have a special notebook. On the left page, you write money in like your salary. On the right page, you write money out like rent, food, and fun. That is your budget.
Having a budget was the first time I actually saved money. Before that, I used to just guess. And let me tell you, guessing is a terrible financial strategy.
It really is. Do you remember when we tried to save money by eating only rice and beans for a week? That was my terrible idea of being frugal.
Oh no, I will never forget that week. Frugal is a great word, by the way. Being frugal means you are careful with your money. You do not spend money on unnecessary things.
Yes, being frugal means you choose to buy a simple coffee at home instead of spending $5 at a fancy cafe every single morning.
Exactly. Another example, a frugal person might repair their old shoes instead of buying a brand new pair immediately. But eating only rice for a week was just crazy, not frugal.
I know. I was just so focused on filling my piggy bank. A piggy bank is a small container, often shaped like a pig, where children put coins to save them.
That is a lovely image. But as adults, our piggy bank is usually a special savings account at the bank. It is a safe place where you do not touch the money.
Speaking of not touching the money, that was always my biggest problem. I would save $500, and then suddenly I would decide I really needed a new jacket.
I think everyone listening can understand that feeling. It is so easy to find an excuse to spend money. You think, I worked hard, I deserve a treat.
Yes, the famous "I deserve it" trap. It is so dangerous for your savings. You definitely deserve nice things, but you also deserve financial peace and security for your future.
That is a beautiful way to say it. Financial peace is so much better than a new jacket. And that brings us to a big question for our listeners today.
And you? What is the hardest part about saving money for you? Is it buying clothes, food, or something else? Tell us in the comments.
We really want to read your answers. Sometimes just talking about our spending habits helps us realize where we can improve and change our behavior.
Absolutely. So, let's talk about the very first step to saving $10,000. You need to look closely at your expenses.
Expenses is a very important financial word. It means the things you spend money on. Your rent, your electricity bill, your groceries. These are all expenses.
To give you another example, if you own a car, your expenses include the petrol or gas, the insurance, and the repairs. These are regular costs you must pay.
When I first looked at my monthly expenses, I was shocked. I realized I was spending over $300 a month just on eating out at restaurants.
$300. That is a lot of money. I had a similar experience with online shopping. I was buying small things, just $5 or $10, but they added up quickly.
That is the tricky part about small expenses. You do not feel the pain when you spend $5, but if you do it every day, it becomes a huge amount of money by the end of the year.
So true. Those tiny purchases are like little holes in a bucket. If you have a bucket full of water, but there are 10 tiny holes, all the water will slowly disappear. That is exactly what happens to your bank account with small, daily spending.
I love that bucket example. It makes so much sense. So, to fix the holes in your financial bucket, you must track every single thing you buy. Tracking means keeping a record. You write down everything you purchase, even a pack of chewing gum.
Yes, tracking is essential. You can use an app on your phone or just a simple piece of paper. For example, if I buy a sandwich for lunch, I write down $6 for sandwich. If I buy a train ticket, I write that down too.
Exactly. By doing this for one whole month, you create a clear map of your spending, and then you will probably discover the silent killer of savings: subscriptions. Subscriptions are services you pay for regularly, usually every month or every year.
Oh, subscriptions. That is a fantastic word to learn. A common example of a subscription is Netflix or Spotify. You pay $10 or $15 every single month to watch movies or listen to music.
Another example of a subscription is a gym membership. You pay every month to use the gym. But let me confess something embarrassing. A few years ago, I realized I was paying for a magazine subscription that I never even opened.
Wait, really? You paid for magazines you did not read? That is hilarious. How long did you pay for it before you finally canceled the subscription?
Please do not laugh. I paid for it for 2 whole years. It was only $7 a month, so I just forgot about it. But $7 times 24 months, that is over $160 wasted.
Wow, that is a lot of money just thrown away. This is why checking your bank statements is so crucial. A bank statement is a document from your bank that shows exactly what money went in and what money went out.
It really is a wake-up call. So step 1 is tracking your expenses. Step 2 is canceling useless subscriptions. And step 3 is understanding your income. Income is the money you receive, usually from your job.
Right. To give a clear example, if you work in an office and they pay you $3,000 a month, that $3,000 is your income. It is the money coming into your life.
Another example, if you sell some old clothes online and make $50, that $50 is also income. It is extra money you earned. To save $10,000, you need a gap between your income and your expenses.
That gap is your savings. And to make that gap bigger, we recommend a very famous strategy called the 50-30-20 rule. Have you heard of this rule before?
Oh, I absolutely love the 50-30-20 rule. It changed my life completely. It is a very simple way to divide your income into 3 different categories: needs, wants, and savings.
Let's break that down for our listeners. Needs are things you must have to survive. You cannot live without them. According to the rule, 50% of your income should go to these needs.
Yes, examples of needs are your rent for your apartment, basic food from the supermarket, and medicines. You absolutely need a place to sleep and food to eat safely.
The next category is wants. Wants are things you desire, but you do not strictly need them to stay alive. The rule says 30% of your income can go to your wants.
For instance, eating at a fancy Italian restaurant is a want. Buying the newest smartphone is a want. You can survive with an older phone, but you want the new one for fun and entertainment.
And finally, the most important part for our topic today, the 20%. This remaining 20% of your income must go directly into your savings and investments.
Exactly. If you earn $2,000 a month, 20% is $400. You take that $400 and put it away immediately. You pay yourself first.
Paying yourself first is a brilliant concept. It means that before you buy shoes, before you go to the cinema, you put money into your savings account. You treat your savings like a very important bill.
It is the only way to actually reach that $10,000 goal. If you wait until the end of the month to save whatever is left over, there is usually nothing left over at all.
I know that from personal experience. Every time I promised myself, I will save whatever money I have on the 30th of the month, I always had $0 by the 29th.
We are so bad at resisting temptation. That is why automating your savings is the best trick. Automating means making something happen automatically without you having to do it manually every time.
Let me give an example of automating. You can tell your bank, every time I receive my salary, automatically move $400 to my savings account. You do not even touch the money.
Another example of automating is setting up an automatic payment for your electricity bill. The bank pays it for you on the exact same day every month. You do not have to think about it at all.
By automating your savings, the money disappears from your main account before you can even spend it. It is like a magic trick to force yourself to be responsible.
Magic is the right word because building that first $10,000 is not just about having money. It is about building an emergency fund.
An emergency fund. That is a critical phrase. An emergency fund is money you save specifically for bad, unexpected situations. It is your financial safety net.
For example, imagine your car breaks down on the highway and the mechanic says it will cost $800 to fix. If you have an emergency fund, you can pay for it without panic.
Exactly. Another great example of an emergency fund is if you suddenly lose your job. If you have $10,000 saved, you can pay your rent and buy groceries for several months while you search for a new position. It gives you incredible peace of mind.
Peace of mind is truly priceless. You can sleep so much better at night. But before you can save that much money, you often have to deal with a big, scary monster hiding under the bed, debt.
Oh, debt is a very scary word indeed. Debt simply means money that you owe to someone else. You borrowed money from a person or a bank, and now you must give it back to them.
To give a very clear example, if you borrow $5,000 from the bank to buy a used car to drive to work, you are in debt. You must pay back that $5,000 over time.
Another example of debt is using a credit card. If you buy a giant television for $1,000 with your credit card, but you do not actually have the money in your bank account, you now have $1,000 of debt.
I have a terrible personal story about credit card debt. When I was 22, I got a shiny gold credit card in the mail. I felt like a millionaire. I immediately bought expensive plane tickets to Spain for a summer holiday.
Oh no, I can see exactly where this is going. Let me guess, you also stayed in a beautiful resort by the beach and ate at fancy seafood restaurants every single night, right?
Yes, I did. I was eating lobster and buying expensive clothes, just swiping my plastic card without thinking. But I did not understand how interest worked. Interest is the extra fee you pay the bank for using their money.
Yes, interest can be very dangerous for your finances. For example, if you borrow $100 and the interest rate is 10%, you do not pay back just $100. You must pay back $110.
Right. Another example of interest is when you buy a house. You might borrow $200,000 to buy the house, but over 30 years, you might pay the bank an extra $100,000 just in interest.
So, because of the high interest on your amazing Spanish holiday, did that trip end up costing you double the original price when you finally paid the bank back?
Almost. It took me 3 long years to finally pay off that stupid credit card debt. I was so angry at myself. That is why our biggest advice is pay off your bad debts before you try to save $10,000.
I completely agree with you. However, once your debts are gone, you might look at your budget and realize your regular salary is just not enough to save money quickly. This is exactly when you need a side hustle.
I love the phrase side hustle. It is very popular right now. A side hustle is a small extra job you do in your free time, outside of your main job, just to earn some extra cash.
A perfect example of a side hustle is walking dogs on the weekends. You work at an office from Monday to Friday, but on Saturday morning, you walk your neighbor's dogs in the park for $20 an hour.
Another example of a side hustle is making handmade jewelry and selling it on the internet. You do it in the evenings while relaxing and watching television, and you earn an extra $200 every month.
I actually had a very funny side hustle a few years ago. I watched 3 short videos on the internet and decided I was going to buy old, rusty bicycles, fix them up in my garage, and sell them for a huge profit.
Oh my goodness, really? I have never seen you hold a tool in your life. Did you buy special equipment to become a professional bicycle mechanic in your garage?
Yes, I spent $200 on professional tools. I bought 5 broken bicycles. My hands were covered in black grease for weeks, but I completely destroyed 2 bicycles because I broke the wheels while trying to repair them.
That is hilarious. So your side hustle actually cost you money instead of making you money. You bought tools and ruined the bikes. What a disaster.
It was a complete financial disaster. I finally fixed 1 bicycle, but I sold it for less money than I paid for the new parts. That is a great lesson. Choose a side hustle that uses skills you already have.
That is such a valuable lesson. If you are great at playing the piano, you should teach piano lessons on the weekends instead of trying to fix broken bicycles. You must use your natural talents to increase your income safely and easily.
Exactly. But whether you save money by cutting your expenses or by starting a smart side hustle, the most important secret to saving $10,000 is consistency. Consistency means doing something the same way over a long period of time.
Yes, consistency is the key to success. For example, if you go to the gym once a month, you will not get strong. But if you go to the gym for 30 minutes every single day, you will see massive results.
Another example of consistency is learning English. Listening to our podcast for 5 hours on Sunday and then doing nothing for 3 weeks is not effective. But listening to 10 minutes of English every single morning while drinking coffee is true consistency.
That is a perfect comparison. Saving money is exactly like learning a language or exercising. You must put small amounts of money into your savings account every week or every month, and you must do it for several years without stopping.
It really requires a lot of patience. Patience is the ability to wait calmly for a long time without getting angry or frustrated. Saving $10,000 will not happen in 1 week, and it might not happen in 1 year.
Right. A good example of patience is planting a small seed in your garden. You must water it every day, but you do not see a beautiful flower immediately. You must wait weeks or months for the flower to grow.
Another example is waiting for a bus in the rain. You are cold and uncomfortable, but you know the bus will eventually arrive. You must show patience and stay at the bus stop, or you will never get to your destination.
I am not very patient, to be honest. I always want instant results. Do you remember when I tried to bake bread at home? The recipe said I needed to wait 4 hours for the dough to rise properly.
Oh, I remember that disaster. You only waited 30 minutes because you were too hungry. The bread came out of the oven looking like a hard, flat stone. We almost broke our teeth trying to eat that terrible bread.
I know, it was awful, and it was a great lesson in why rushing things destroys the final result. If you try to save money too aggressively by never having fun, you will just quit the budget entirely.
Exactly. You need to find a sustainable balance. Sustainable means something you can continue doing for a very long time without burning out or giving up. Your financial plan must be healthy for your mind too.
An example of a sustainable diet is eating a salad for lunch but still enjoying a small piece of chocolate after dinner. You can do that for years, but eating nothing but boiled cabbage is completely unsustainable.
Another example of a sustainable schedule is working 8 hours a day and resting on the weekends. If you force yourself to work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, your energy will crash, and that is not sustainable at all.
So build a sustainable budget, find a realistic side hustle, and practice extreme patience. Before you know it, you will look at your bank account and see that magical number, $10,000. It is an incredible feeling of freedom.
It really is. Once you have that financial foundation, your stress levels drop dramatically. You stop worrying about unexpected bills, and you can finally start thinking about bigger goals, like buying a house or traveling the world.
Or maybe buying better tools for your bicycle repair business. Just joking. Please do not ever touch a bicycle again. Our listeners' safety and your bank account depend on you staying far away from tools.
Haha, very funny. I promise I have retired from my mechanical career forever. I will stick to podcasting and teaching English, which I am much better at. And speaking of learning English, the vocabulary today was so useful.
It really was. Remember, every big financial journey begins with a single, small step. Check your expenses tonight, cancel one useless subscription tomorrow, and try to put your first $50 into a separate savings account this week.